Hi guys, this is Normal Day in Russia. Thank you for tuning into my channel. Christmas time is approaching very quickly, and one of the things that I wanted to do this year is get a special gift for my wife. I started thinking about the common interests and hobbies that we have, and what struck me the most is singing. We both love to sing. My wife is exceptionally talented at it, and there are quite a few difficulties about trying to get some free time to sing, especially with two little kids at home, very little free time after work, and so on. So I kind of came up with the idea of buying or building an acoustic booth at home so that we can both practice and record ourselves if we would like to. Now, most of the units that I found online were very simple, usually just a piece of plywood with acoustic carpeting on them and some foam pieces to try to insulate the sound. But I think that I could realistically do much better and spend much less while doing so. So I'm gonna give it a try. I don't know if it's gonna work out. Honestly, I have no idea. I have my security camera up there rolling right now. It's gonna record the whole process. I think it's probably gonna take 2 or 3 days maybe. Most of the stuff that I need is already here. I have some other deliveries coming in tomorrow and the day after. So I guess we'll see how it works out, and you're coming along with me on the adventure. Afterwards, we're going to test it. We're going to try to sing something inside the cabin and see how well it worked out. And I'll give you guys a rundown of just how much I spent buying everything, how many hours I spent working on it, just to give you an idea, if you wanted to do this at home, how difficult it is. Keep in mind, it might not work out at all because I am not a carpenter. I kind of look like I'm about to go cross-country skiing or ice skating, but the thing is that, well, I'm in my garage. This is just a normal insulated garage, and it's very cold outside. It's 10 degrees below, and it's not much warmer in here. Anyway, I think it's about time to get started with the video itself. The last thing I'm going to say is that before I actually bought all of these materials that are necessary to complete the build, I did draft up a 3D model the way that I think it's going to look, and I think it's going to come out in the end. And hopefully I'm not off by too much on the measurements there, but I did plan to kind of correct it as I go along. So before I get started, the materials that I've already purchased, obviously I have all the wood that I need to complete the framing. This is 5 centimeters by 5 centimeters, so it's more than strong enough considering the overall size of the cabin is going to be just around a meter and 20. I have all the plywood that's going to comprise the walls, and I have some of the insulation material for the internal parts of the walls, as well as some rubberized insulation for the external parts of the walls. All right, so what I'm going to start doing right now is start to build the most essential part of this entire project, the frame itself. It's fairly straightforward. I am building a box after all, but two sides are a little bit more complicated. I have one with a cutout for a window, and another side has a door cutout in it. So I decided that it would be wise to start off the project with the simple sides, the ones that don't have any cutouts. So what I'm going to start doing right now is begin putting together the rear wall of my acoustic cab. All it is 2 horizontal beams that are 135 centimeters long and 3 vertical support columns that are exactly 2 meters long each. So I'm going to frame that together right now. can hardly believe this thing is finally upstairs. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed that montage. I initially had a lot of scenes where I was cutting pieces of the booth and preparing and putting together other pieces, explaining what I was doing on the fly, but I realized that that was somewhat superfluous to the project. You can pretty much make out everything that I'm doing from the montage anyway, and I'm going to include the 3D model in the description to the video as well. So I decided to break the project up into 2 videos because this is getting pretty long. We're stopping right here. So right now the status quo is this. I've assembled everything upstairs. Everything is very tightly in place, so this isn't a temporary solution anymore. This is very permanent until I decide to take it apart and move it elsewhere. So all the seams are incredibly tight. I have brackets that I've used to attach all the pieces together in an interlocking way. Between each wood panel, there is acoustic carpeting, 2 millimeters of it, which is sort of like a final defense layer if there are any cracks or any seams that are a little bit wider than I accounted for. And following that, I have acoustic sealant, which I've already applied to all the internal seams of the booth. Now, I want to finish this by Christmas so I can formally give it to my wife as a gift. So I have a to-do list for these couple of days that are left. Just so you get an idea, I've already applied this acoustic putty to one of the corners of this booth, and I'm going to do the same with the rest of the corners as well as the bottom edges. I'm going to apply the same kind of acoustic putty to all the side panels of the booth, and then following that, everything is going to get covered up with acoustic carpeting just like on the outside. The last step for the side walls, at least, is going to be to cover everything in acoustic foam. I've chosen green because that's the only color they had in stock Christmas time. And that's going to be pretty much it. Afterwards, I'm going to put on the ceiling with the ventilation system, channel in the electricals, and put carpeting on the door, as well as put the finishing touches on all the external carpeting, because right now it looks a little bit raggedy. So stay tuned for part 2 in a week or so, where I'll upload the finished product. And afterwards, we'll probably record a song or a soundbite inside of the booth as well, so you guys can get an idea for the difference in sound quality inside of the booth versus outside of it, especially when there's a lot of ambient noise in the room. So we'll definitely test that, and stay tuned for part 2. Like I said before, thank you guys very much for watching, and happy holidays.